From the Celtics to the World Cup, many people are staying up way past their bedtimes to see the big games, and the next day they're paying for it. In today's House Calls, Dr. Stephen Summers, an attending physician in the Sleep Disorders Clinic at UMass Memorial in Worcester, joins us live via Skype. Doctor, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, my pleasure.
Well, how does lack of sleep affect you?
Well, in the acute situation, if you miss a couple hours of sleep because you're watching the Celtics or something similar to that, you may notice the next day you have some trouble processing information you normally deal with quite effectively. You might find that you have some problems with short-term memory, and it can be quite drastic if you miss a lot of sleep. How
much is a lot of sleep?
Well, a normal person's expected to get somewhere around 7.5, maybe even 8 hours of sleep a night. You get a tiny fraction of that, and you can have, besides all the sleepiness that you would normally experience, you can have a lot of problems trying to focus while you're at work and performing the tasks you're supposed to do.
So what can people do to combat sleep deprivation?
Well, try and make time for sleep is a good start, and if you find yourself getting less than you need, setting time apart where you can make sure that you get a quick power nap, 20 to 30 minutes, not too much so that you mess up the sleep for the coming night. Also, it's a good idea to try one of the common stimulants, caffeine.
So, because caffeine sometimes can, too much caffeine cannot be good for you either. But
Absolutely.
A little bit is okay.
Absolutely, but if we're talking about staying up one night, then it's a reasonable option. Nothing beats sleep, though, for the long term. It's good effects for the heart, good effects for the lungs, certainly for the brain. Mother Nature intended it to be that way.
Okay. Well, is there a way you can refresh yourselves during the day, like taking a walk or fresh air?
Probably the best thing that could be done is if you have the time, taking a short power nap, anywhere 15 to 20 minutes. Try and just a short period of time. If you spend too much time sleeping in your nap, you'll start to get into the deeper stages of sleep. You'll wake up more groggy than before.
Are there any long-term effects associated with sleep deprivation?
Well, it's interesting. It turns out that chronic sleep deprivation can have a lot of long-term effects. People can experience symptoms very similar to depression, very similar to anxiety. Treat the underlying sleeping problem or the sleeping disorder, and those problems can get better. People with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, chronic health conditions, those can be exacerbated. And there's some interesting population data that people, taking all comers, who sleep 4 hours or less actually have increased mortality. So it seems to have a very important effect on how we live our lives.
So on the flip side, is there can you get too much sleep?
Well, it's interesting you say that. The same study suggested that people that get too much sleep also have an increased mortality in the coming year. So anywhere less than 4 hours or more than 10, it's probably a sign of underlying disorder.
Well, it seems to be very clear-cut.
Well, it's true. We need our sleep.
We need our sleep. Well, thank you, Dr. Summers, for joining us and answering our questions about getting enough sleep. Now, if you have more questions about sleep deprivation or another medical issue, email us at housecalls@cbs3springfield.com.